Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast, the number one channel for your long balls content. That's all you need. So, obviously, if you're a Liverpool fan, you would have seen the news yesterday that Thiago is confirmed now to be out for the next 6 weeks. Depressing, frustrating, but inevitable, really. I said yesterday on my video, I did a little bit of a rant yesterday about the game against Fulham, and I started talking about potential transfers and injury-prone players. We all love Thiago, but he's a luxury player, nothing more than that. He is, when fit, I think he's the best midfielder in this team. He's one of the best midfielders in the league, one of the best midfielders in Europe over the last 10 or so years, really. He is an incredible player. No one, I think, realistically would disagree with that unless, they're just a bit of a twat, to be perfectly honest. But as good as he is, his injury record throughout his career has always been atrocious. Certainly, when you look at his record over in Germany at Bayern Munich, he was unavailable throughout so much of the season. So, and I personally, I think it really cost him at times. Big matches in European campaigns. I know his final season, he won the Champions League with them, which is brilliant. But I think that he could have won the Champions League, or Bayern Munich rather, could have won the Champions League 2 or 3 more times if he had stayed fit during those vital moments of the season. And I think he was such a big loss to them in those moments. And you look at him in his first season at Liverpool, had a big injury, really took a long time to get up to speed. Last season, he was out injured, I think it cost Liverpool. We were so far behind Man City when he was out, and then when he came back, we really caught up to them, showing the importance that he has on this Liverpool team. And now, of course, he is out after the first game of the season. There were a few sort of pages, news articles that were saying Liverpool think it might only be 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. It's not going to be that long. Now it's been confirmed that it should be 6 weeks. However, Liverpool apparently wants to do a second scan, which is, of course, probably just procedure and completely understandable, makes sense. They want to do a second scan just to get a more accurate time frame, see if it is going to be 6 weeks, see if it potentially could be sooner, whether it could take longer. But for me, it doesn't matter. If Thiago is out for 3 weeks, if he's out for 6 weeks, or if he's out for 2 to 3 months, it doesn't really matter to me, because, like I said, he's a luxury player. He is sensational. He is fantastic. We want him in that team, but you cannot build a midfield around this guy. You can't, and it's through no fault of his own, but he's not reliable with his fitness. And it's just a bit naive, I think, for Liverpool to go into a season with a midfield that I think is weak at the best of times. Not in terms of numbers. We've got numbers. I think we've got eight players in our midfields, and we usually play with a 3-man midfield. So that's more than 2 options for each role. So you look at that on paper and go, yeah, it should be quite strong. But in terms of the quality, in terms of injury-prone players, Thiago's right up there. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, of course. Naby Keita historically is very injury-prone, although last year he did play, I believe, off the top of my head, I believe it was about 40 games out of a possible 62. So last season, Naby Keita was available for a fair amount of games, to be fair. He still ended up missing sort of 22 games last season. But historically, Naby Keita is out injured a lot. Henderson, the argument is Jordan Henderson good enough to be playing in the first team anyway, especially as a number 8? Personally, in my opinion, no. But secondly, he's been picking up more and more little niggles, more and more injuries as the time goes on, because he's getting older and he's having to play so many games. I think same with Fabinho. Fabinho often has a couple of weeks or a month out each season. I think it gets worse and worse each season, and adding to some of his performances really drop off at times. And I do believe it's not a case that Fabinho is a bad player or an overrated player. He's a brilliant, world-class defensive midfielder, but at times he looks poor because I think he genuinely is exhausted of having played so many games over a number of years, and he is a player who isn't rotated enough. So for me, I would love to see Jordan Henderson rotating with Fabinho in that number 6 role throughout this season and beyond, and then having other players in the number 8. But anyway, I mentioned all of that yesterday. I wanted to do this video because it's been confirmed now that Thiago is out for at least 6 weeks. It looks like it could potentially be more. We still have 3 or so weeks left of the transfer window. Now, cue all the speculation, all the rumours. Every single midfielder and his dog is going to be linked to Liverpool over the next few weeks. So be prepared for that if you are a Liverpool fan. It's going to be frustrating. Don't get caught out. But there is one particular name or two names who keep cropping up. Is Sporting Lisbon's Matheus Nunes. Now, I said in my video yesterday, I don't know enough about this guy. I couldn't give you an assessment. I couldn't sit here right now and say, yes, this guy is absolutely perfect for Liverpool. I equally couldn't say he's overrated. He doesn't fit in with the style. I don't know enough. I just simply don't know enough. I've only seen compilation videos, hence this one over here, which I thought I might as well just sort of play in the background as I'm talking about him, just so we can kind of have a little glimpse of him. But he is very, very young. He seems to be very robust, box to box. What I've seen of him, he's very energetic. He's very quick, which I feel is something that Liverpool lack in that midfield. We seem to have, our midfield, to me at least, you might disagree with this, but it looks quite slow. It looks stodgy. It almost looks like sometimes they've got bricks attached to their feet. They really, really struggle. Certainly against Fulham, just really could not. A can string a couple of passes together, but in terms of their agility and all of that, Fulham midfielders were just skipping through, and we could not keep up. So it'd be nice to have someone in that midfield role who is athletic, who is box to box, who is pacey. He looks creative. But another big thing is he seems to be reliable. I've looked at his sort of injury record. I've looked at how many games he plays. He very rarely misses a game. I think the last time I don't know the stats off the top of my head, whether he's played 40 games in a row or whatever it is, but I know he's played an awful lot of games for Sporting Lisbon in a row, very rarely injured, and the only time he's ever really missed a period of time is when he was out with COVID. So you look at that and you go, that's a big tick for me. We need players who are capable of playing, regularly, week in, week out, or at least being in the squad. Like I said, Thiago can't be relied upon. When he's fit, when he's healthy, get him in that team and play him as much as possible. But eventually he's going to break down. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is always out injured. Naby Keita, he's a little bit of another one, a bit 50-50. So we need someone in there who can come in, play that role regularly. It would be really nice to have sort of Fabinho in that number 6. Like I said, rotating Jordan Henderson throughout the season, potentially Naby on the left-hand side, and possibly Nunes on the right-hand side. And then obviously, like I've said, when Thiago is fit and comes back, he can come in and rotate with some of these guys. It also gives an opportunity for Harvey Elliott to rotate in and out. We want to see Harvey Elliott, of course we do, but we have to. I think it's important to remember that he is a kid. He is still a teenager. He's 19 years of age. He can have all the talent in the world. He needs to be eased in. I remember when Phil Foden broke through at Manchester City, and there was all this talk about him. Pep Guardiola saying he's the most naturally talented player he's ever trained. And everyone was like, "You've had Lionel Messi, mate." And for a long time, we didn't see Foden, or we saw him very rarely. And I remember a couple of years ago, channels like TalkSport and all of this were talking about, does Foden need to leave Man City to go and have a proper career? Now, he was still incredibly young. It'd only been built up because obviously Pep had sort of mentioned him and people had seen this exciting young player. But Pep didn't throw him in, week out. He rotated him in and out. Even if he had a brilliant game or a brilliant couple of games, he would then be taken out because Pep knew and understood he's still young, he's still a teenager. He can't play week in, week out. It does no good to that player. And I think Klopp knows the same for Harvey Elliott. So even if Harvey Elliott's playing poorly, if Harvey Elliott's playing brilliantly, he is going to be in and out of this team because he is, like I said, he is 19 years of age. So having that additional player in midfield, having that Nunes in there would mean, going forward, say if we signed him this week, hypothetically, if we signed him at the end of this transfer window, Fabinho through number 6, Keita on the left, Nunes on the right, it's got a bit of a balance about it. That would look exciting. And like I said, Jordan Henderson could come in, could rotate in and out with Fabinho. Thiago could come in when fit, and Harvey Elliott could come in and sort of rotate. Also gives another opportunity for someone like Curtis Jones, another youngster who, really hope he can step up this season to come in and rotate. And also then we've got James Milner for that utility role. Can sometimes play fullback if we need, can come in and play in midfield. But we certainly need another option in our midfield, someone who's energetic, someone who's box to box, someone who's robust, can play regularly. And from what I've seen of him, let's have him sort of in the background. This is the page Liverpool edits. So, you know, all credit goes to them. I just thought I'd have it playing in the background so we can sort of get a little glimpse of the young man playing. Obviously, you know, anyone looks amazing in compilations and not going to show the bad stuff. But another player that's been heavily linked to Liverpool is Barella from Inter Milan. Now, I sort of said in my channel or on my video rather yesterday that I don't think it's worth even talking about Barella, because he's given no indication of wanting to leave Milan, none at all. He seems really, really desperate to stay. So yeah, he seems very, very eager to stay in Italy and Inter Milan. Doesn't want to join the Premier League. At least that's sort of the impression that you get. It would also cost about 80 million plus, really, to get him out of that league. Now, there was an article this morning from the Daily Mirror that Liverpool have sort of already started talks with Milan. I'm not going to say whether that's true or not. I don't have a clue, but it's a few days up, or it's the same day that the news broke that Thiago is going to be out injured. It's the Daily Mirror. I wouldn't believe a word that paper ever says. I think it's total bollocks. I think if we are going to sign anyone, I believe it would be Nunes. We've been looking in the Portuguese league. We've obviously taken Diaz. We've also taken Darwin Nunes himself. So it would be pretty funny to have two Nuneses in the team. But obviously we've taken Darwin Nunes. We've taken Diaz from the Portuguese league. We know that the coaches watch the Portuguese league an awful lot. This come from Jurgen Klopp's mouth and said our sort of first assistant coach Pep Lingers. He's mentioned in his book, he's mentioned in interviews that they watch that league. That is the league that they believe is the most similar league to the Premier League. So if we were to sign anyone, which I hope we do, I believe it would be someone from this league. It might not be this guy, but this is obviously the name that is coming out right now on everyone's lips. He certainly looks exciting. Like I said, anyone can look exciting in compilations, but I wouldn't believe the links to Barella. I wouldn't believe the links to Jude Bellingham even. I know sort of people keep coming out and talking that Bellingham is on his way next year. It's always that way with Liverpool next year. I know it's a big money move, so obviously it takes an awful long time. But Barella, I would rate 1 out of 10 for him to coming at Liverpool. This guy, I believe, he looks like he suits the club. He's come from that Portuguese league, like I've mentioned, that Liverpool seem to look at as a bit of a requirement at this current moment in time. So it sounds like Sporting Lisbon want about 50 million euros for him. I know that on sort of Twitter yesterday, there were a couple of these ITKs or these people who work. I can't remember whether it was with the Athletic or whoever it was. Some journalists sort of saying that Julian Ward has flown out to Lisbon to start negotiations on the very day that Thiago's out injured. Again, a big pinch of salt with that. Don't know if any of that is reliable. I don't think anyone particularly reliable has come out and said anything about this guy. I think this is just a bit of a fan's choice at this current moment in time. It was interesting when Manchester City played Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League last year. He actually came out and mentioned that Nunes looks like he could be one of the most exciting midfielders in world football. So if Bernardo Silva was to leave Manchester City, which could very much happen if Frankie de Jong leaves Barcelona, it could be very likely that this guy would end up at Manchester City. And I personally would hate that, So Liverpool need to get off their arse a little bit here. They need to sort of make a big, bold move. I know we've spent money in this transfer window, but again, net spend is pretty low. We signed Darwin Nunes, we signed Carvalho for cheap, we signed Ramsey for very little money. We've sold quite a few players. Again, we're short in midfield, I think, in terms of quality. I believe we're also short in attack as well at this current moment in time. Like I said, we signed Darwin Nunes, which is exciting. We also sold Sadio Mane, we sold Divock Origi, we sold Minamino. That's 1 player in, 3 players out. I always feel that Liverpool go into each season unprepared. 2 years ago, like I said in my video yesterday, we sold Dejan Lovren and didn't replace him. It was ridiculous. It was naivety. I don't know. I don't know what it was, to be perfectly honest. Negligence, just sheer stupidity. Then we allowed Gini Wijnaldum to go. We didn't bother replacing him. And look, it was a great season in the end. We won 2 trophies. We could have won 4. We lost the league by a point. However, you know, when injury problems were happening, when Thiago was out, if we might have had a Wijnaldum or someone, just an extra body who was reliable and could stay fit in that midfield, who knows? We might have turned some of those draws into wins. And then that might be the difference. We might have won the league. So I really hope that Liverpool should dig deep a little bit and go, okay, I know they're incredibly reluctant to spend big in the transfer market, but in terms of net spend, and I know that net spend gets mocked a little bit, but I believe teams like Forest, Brighton, Fulham have spent more than us in terms of net spend this season, and that's a regular occurrence. Mid-table teams or teams that are battling relegation spend more than us in net spend, and I don't think we can keep doing this if we want to realistically go for a league title. Everything's there, the ingredients are there to really challenge Man City. But we've got to stop relying on luxury players like a Thiago. When he's fit, brilliant. But we need someone who's going to be in there. And Klopp wants someone not just a stopgap. He wants someone for long term. Well, Nunes looks like he could be a long term option. He's young. He's got plenty of years left. So I, for one, am hoping that Liverpool go out and put down an offer of 40, 50 million euros for this guy. And I hope to see him in a Liverpool shirt within the next few weeks. So that is the news on Liverpool today, guys. I hope you liked the video. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel for more long balls content, and comment down below what you think of the situation with Liverpool's midfield at the moment. Do we need another option? I'd imagine the answer is yes. If so, who are your number one options? And if not, let me know why you think you'd be happy going into the season with the options that we have available. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon.